This episode of Behind the Video is brought to you by the Independent Media Network. The Independent Media Network helps journalists and content creators create their own jobs by building sustainable online businesses. If you're an unemployed or underemployed journalist or content creator, visit imntt.com for more information. Hey everybody, we are back with Behind the Video, episode number 37, and we're going to try something new. And I think, Tim, we're going to be shooting for a Sunday recording time. Is that right?
Yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's see. I mean, it's one of those things where you never know when is the best time until you try some new times. So we'll see if this one works out.
Exactly, and we're starting this on the wrong time because we're both fans of the Super Bowl, at least as 300 million Americans are as well. So we didn't want to interfere with the game. So usually we're going to try this.
Well, you know what?
Go ahead. We could do Monday.
I'm up for trying it at 8:30 in the morning. We'll see on Sundays and see how it goes. Maybe later's better. Who knows? We'll find out.
We'll play around with different times. So, all right. So for at least for the next couple shows, we're going to do it at Sunday morning, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 Pacific. And I think that'll work well for both of us because it's the weekend, and it's good. We're working, but nobody else is, which makes it easier. So here's something interesting, Tim, from a linking your YouTube world to the real world. I have a site called CT Tech Junkie in Connecticut, and it's become like my outlet for all of my geeky tech stuff that.
What do you do on that site?
Well, we did a whole bunch of stuff. So remember when I did all that space shuttle stuff? We did
that's
a full-blown...
pretty techie, geeky, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's some serious stuff. And then what I've been doing lately, and it kind of varies, and I've always made it more of an analysis / somewhat editorialized site where, it's kind of trying to connect policymakers to some of these policy issues that tech people care about, and often the policy people don't really know about, like SOPA and PIPA and that kind of thing. But one of the things that I've been doing also is been helping people kind of understand how to make themselves more secure and to not think that some things are secure when they're not. And the audience for this site, by the way, it's attached to this Connecticut political site called CT News Junkie. So a lot of people that read the site are techie, but not to the degree that I'm at. They love the stuff, but they're not living it more like I am living it lately. And I did a thing on Facebook Poke, and I'm sure you've heard of Facebook Poke, right, Tim?
Yes, I have heard of Facebook Poke.
You're on my list, but I haven't really, I don't know, I just don't feel like I should be poking you,
Yeah, I don't want you to poke me. I really don't.
It's a little creepy there. But in any event, what it does is it lets you send an image to somebody that self-destructs, yada, yada, yada. So when I started picking around at this thing, I noticed that there's a lot of ways to kind of circumvent this false sense of security that Poke gives you, that somehow the image you're sending, is going to be completely free of being copied or whatever. And I did a YouTube video and an article about that, and the local NBC affiliate saw it and called me up and then had me do the same thing with Snapchat to kind of give parents a heads up that, hey, your kids might be sending inappropriate images on this thing, and maybe they should be aware of how easy it is to make permanent copies of images. So they came here on, I think, Monday or Tuesday, and my home office has never been the same since. But
did they use a lot of electricity while they were there?
Oh, they consumed a good deal of it. They had some. They don't use the LED lights yet, but.
Oh yeah, so they heated it up for you. Your heating bill went down.
Exactly. So I saved a little bit on my propane, but paid the price in electricity. But that's going to be on Tuesday. So hopefully, I'll share a link next week when it's up. Hopefully I did okay. So we'll see how it turns out. But it was funny. In the course of talking about the Snapchat thing, I didn't realize how many kids are using Snapchat. I mean, it's staggering, like millions.
For people that don't know about Snapchat, tell them about it.
So Snapchat follows the same premise, and actually Facebook Poke began its existence because apparently Facebook tried to buy Snapchat and they denied them. So they went after that market with Poke, and Mark Zuckerberg apparently did that. But basically, Snapchat works the same way. You take a picture, and you send it to people that you know or don't, and you can choose to see how long you want the picture displayed for. So it's anywhere from 3 to 10 seconds, and then once the timer elapses, your phone deletes the image. So presumably somebody wouldn't be able to look at it. But as you know, on the iPhone, you can make a screenshot. You ever done that?
Yep.
So you can make a screenshot, and Snapchat will detect the screenshot, but there's a very simple way around it, which is you make the screenshot, and instead of pushing that home button once, you double tap it, and then they don't see that you took a screenshot of it.
Wow, look at that.
It's like a really simple circumvention.
You just have to have a working button on your iPhone.
Yeah, that's true. The button needs to work. That is is very, very true.
That's a problem for a lot of people that have iPhone 4s, that, lint and dirt in your pocket build up underneath the button and make it so that it doesn't work. And so there's actually, if you go into the Apple Store, they can show you a way to make it so that if your button isn't working and it's not under warranty, they can show you a way to do it via the screen to get.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
how do you do that?
Yeah, I forget how you do it, but there's a way to do it. So
there's hope for those with dirty pockets.
Yes, there is. Absolutely. You heard it here first.
Well, that's it. You got your useful thing of the week here. So let's move on to somebody filling their pockets, and that's our broadcast television networks. And we'll look at the top 5 of the week. And CBS has number 5 with NCIS Los Angeles with 11.9 million viewers. The NBC AFC NFC Pro football game came in at Pro Bowl at 12 million viewers, and that was on the 27th of January. NCIS number 3 at 12.8 million viewers. And what do you think the top 2 might be this week, Tim? It's almost become the perennial favorite.
Really?
Of winter programming.
Oh, gosh, I was thinking somebody got inaugurated or something.
That was on cable, perhaps, but no, American Idol tops.
Still.
And you know what's funny is I've gotten into it again. I don't know why.
Really?
But, well, my wife's been watching, and it's kind of a train wreck to some degree, and
that's why you want to watch it, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the talented kids are really great, and you feel good for those who have the real, sad stories coming on the show. And I think one thing you gain from it is that everyone's a singer, right? It's just a matter of being lucky enough to get picked out of the mix of 60,000 people that show up for these auditions. But I feel horrible for the people that legitimately think they're good and they're terrible, and they get that makes a good emotional connection there for you, right? Yeah, but it's just kind of that stuff's uncomfortable. But nevertheless, there's some good talent this year.
William Hung.
Yeah, but he capitalized.
Okay.
Yeah.
He capitalized. His mom kept him going, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, he had like 2 albums that joke albums that became stocking stuffers, like Hung for the Holidays. It was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he knows. See, that's the thing. If you can turn it around and make some commercial success with it, then it works out pretty well. But actually, this week they had a guy who's a Iraq War veteran who came on the show with his little girl and had this story about how he was his convoy was hit by an IED and he woke up in a hospital in Kuwait 2 weeks later or whatever. Turns out he made up the whole thing. And yeah, he's now been kicked off the show. Now, granted, he was in Iraq, and that part was true, except his reason for waking up in a hospital in Kuwait was because he was taking acne medication and got horrifically drunk, and the interaction between those two substances landed him in the hospital, and apparently while he was in his drunken stupor, he ratted out the rest of his unit, and there was a lot of backlash on the internet over that one, as you can imagine. So there's no shortage of drama once again on American Idol.
He sounds like a true rock and roller. I mean, come on.
It's true. He's definitely
this guy belongs in the business.
Yeah, exactly.
He know how to trash a hotel room too.
I'm sure he did after this happened. So that's true. So you can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up.
What does he sing, country or rock?
He was more of a rock guy, I think. It was kind of a rock country kind of thing. Yeah.
There you go.
So someone will pick him up because, you just have to. And when it's funny with a guy like that, you got to have the insurance policy for when he does trash the rental car, the hotel room, and gets like tied down to the airplane seat on the way to the way back home after one too many little bottles.
I imagine there's a lot of that going on this weekend in New Orleans with the Super Bowl and Mardi Gras going on.
Oh my God!
It just seems like there's going to be a lot of out of control people.
I was in New Orleans in like September, once,
Uh-huh.
and that was enough for me. I can't even imagine what it's like during those two events.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's one thing to be in New Orleans, and especially since Katrina. I mean, I feel like this is the big weekend that kind of puts New Orleans back on its feet. But we'll see how they do economically. But nonetheless, there's so much emotional contagion that takes place if you're at a football game or if you're at Mardi Gras. But you put the Super Bowl and Mardi Gras together in New Orleans. I bet there's going to be some stories where it's just like, man arrested for, doing voodoo on a goat or something.
Well, I got a friend who's going to be down there. I'm gonna talk to him and see what he says about that. So we'll have to play that by ear. So let's move on to cable shows briefly. We've got a couple things on the docket here. The presidential inauguration on CNN came in at number 5 with, I think actually Jason gave us 6 this week. So that's number 6 at 4.2 million viewers. It looked like, I went to the inauguration last time and it was freaking cold. And not only was it cold, but we had to walk like halfway across the city because the military shut down like everything within a mile or 3 miles of the Capitol.
You're not getting a car near us.
No. And I got online. I had the tickets too, and I got online at 5 a.m. In the morning. The thing didn't start till like whenever it starts, like 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock or whatever. And we didn't get back into like a warm apartment again until about 3:30 in the afternoon. So it was a good 13 or 14 hours out in the cold there, but it was worth it, and it was really something to hear like 1 million people behind you singing the national anthem. That was
pretty
something.
Cool.
So I figured, what, this year it's going to be the same thing with less people. So maybe I'll just watch it.
Stay home. Yeah.
I watched it at my office on.
But only 4 million, right? I mean, there's YouTube videos that do better than that.
I think so, but you know what? Too, this is something that gets really disambiguated, right? Because you've got all the networks covering it. You've got a whole bunch of stuff.
So what's the true rating?
Right, and who? That's hard to say. Although I will say that looking at the stream, because on YouTube you can watch the stream as it comes in, and they usually put ABC up there, and that one came in at around I think it was like 30 or 40,000. It really wasn't. I was tweeting while it was going that it was just very low. It was minuscule compared to the debates and stuff.
Better places to see it.
Apparently, yeah. And what's funny was the feed that the White House provided actually had the best video quality. But so that was interesting. Number 5 is our another stalwart WWE at 5 and 4 for about 4.3 and 4.4 million.
You got to get your wrestling in.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The biggest debate when I was a kid was whether it was real or not. And then we tried to. It was some brutal attempts at body slam reproductions on the playground, which resulted in a lot of suspensions and whatnot. Thankfully, I wasn't doing them. I was often the victim of them. Gold Rush, number 3 on the Discovery Channel, 4.5 million viewers. That's a good show. I haven't seen it yet, but
I got to check that out.
And another little addicting show is Pawn Stars.
Yeah, that's fun. I always want to go to the shop when I'm in Vegas, and I forget to go.
We should have done that while we were there.
I know, we should have.
Well, next year we'll go. And I think it's so like manufactured now, but it's kind of funny how that show continues to deliver. So that is that. Big news though in TV world, and it's kind of becoming this mishmash of TV and internet. Netflix has the House of Cards out this week. Is this their second show now? Yeah, this is their second show. The first one they did was with the guy from Sopranos, right? Where he hid away in the Icelandic area. We'll see how it does. I mean, a lot of people love it, so looks House of Cards looks like a cool show. It does look like a cool show. So that's coming up, and actually, it's not even coming up. It's on there, and they dumped the whole season on you, and they're catering to the binge viewer like me. So yes, people will be late for work. Yes, late for work, late for everything else in life, but you'll have some good content to take a look there. Real quick thing, Japan's going to launch, according to the Inquisitor.com, that they're going to launch their first 4K television broadcast in July 2014. So get your 4K television ready. I don't know how you're going to broadcast that, but someone's going to try that. They'll figure it out in Japan. they will figure it out in Japan. So, hey, Tim, we've got a caller. So let's
Awesome.
bring Carol Dodsley in here, and she's going to have to unmute her mic now that I've brought her in. Hey, Carol, how are you? What's on your mind?
Hi, I'm fine. Actually, I was watching this on your website, and there was a button that said about, and I came over. I didn't realize it was going to let me come into the broadcast, but I thought, hey, I'll come in and say hi.
Well, hello there, and you're from the UK, it looks like.
I am, yes.
And
Where,
what
where
do
in
you,
the UK?
Sorry?
Where in the UK are you from?
I'm in Lincolnshire, which is sort of middle over to the left.
Okay. And
And-
your how-to girl is your handle?
It is, yes.
Tell
And what
us
do you
about
do?
that.
I actually, at the moment, I actually teach people how to use Hangouts for their business.
Oh, that's interesting. So tell us more about that. So what kinds of things are people using Hangouts for their business, and are you encouraging them to do the on-air thing where they're selling or allowing people to watch content later too?
Absolutely, yes. I think because I noticed that a lot of people think that a hangout is just like what we're doing here, having a chat, it's a discussion. But if you get creative, there's so many more ways you can use Hangouts, and it really raises people's business visibility. And, you know, people can use them for their webinars, they can showcase their products and services, they can use them for private coaching and consultations, they can use them for workshops. There's so many different ways that people are just not realizing. And I see so many that are using Hangouts, and they'll be there saying, I can't see your comments because I'm in the Hangout room and your comments are on YouTube, and I can't do this, and I don't know how to get my camera. And there's so many people that actually don't know what they don't know. So
Right.
I'm hoping to help them discover what they don't know that they could be using that would absolutely really increase everything they're doing and really help their business as well.
Wow. Well, can you give us a great example of one of the things you've helped one of your clients do?
Run paid for workshops is perhaps a good example. If somebody is looking for ways, you know, there's lots of people out there at the moment who are struggling to get the attendees at live workshops because they've got venue costs, there's travel for the attendees, it's usually so far away, and they've got to have overnight stays, so it's like, oh, I can't really afford this, or I can't leave the kids, I can't leave the dogs, whatever. You know, with Hangouts, you don't have the venue costs, people don't have the travel, but you still have that interaction, you're still looking at each other. You know, it doesn't have to just be our head and shoulders. If you use different camera angles, you can actually get a full room view, and you can demonstrate things, and you can make them paid for, you know, so people can turn up from wherever they are, and those that can't turn up, you can record them.
There you go.
It
It's a
makes
good
it easy.
tip.
And how do you go about, you know, I guess because of the ability to limit who can see a Hangout at any given time, you can essentially take someone's money and give them a way to get into the Hangout that other people may not be able to see. How do you limit that maybe with the on-air component if you wanted to record it?
Well, you don't necessarily have to be on air to record, because obviously you can use screen capture.
Right.
So if you want 1000% to make sure that you're private, then you need to go with the limited numbers. You know, if you have business apps, you can have up to 15 in a workshop. If it's the normal Hangouts, then it's up to 9 others and yourself. But you know, there's lots of ways to hide it from your stream. It doesn't have to show up on your stream. You can run it through your own website. You can add interactive chat like you've got on your website, which I was looking at thinking, oh, I need to look at this a little bit more.
Right.
That looks really cool.
Yeah, we just started playing with this thing called Be Live, and it's BLYVE, and it's kind of a it's similar to there was another embedded chat thing called Cover It Live, and it's similar to that. It flows a little bit nicer. It costs about the same, but we've been playing with that. We met them at New Media Expo, so it's a cool little app there. So, well, Carol, thanks for stopping in. Where can people find you on your site?
They can find me on the howtogirl.tv. They
Excellent.
can also find me all over Google Plus as well.
Nice. Well, you are more than welcome to hang out as we go through the show. We'd love to hear any input that you have on it, and maybe in the future we'd love to have you back as a guest to talk more about Google Hangouts, because it's definitely something we're interested in, and I know a lot of our listeners are as well.
That would be cool.
And one thing the Hangouts have done is it's made this show very easy to produce because it's it's hard or at least it was up until this stuff came out. It was hard to get all this stuff to work together as a system, and Google's really done quite well in integrating all of those things. So Tim, let's take a look at the box office this week, though, because there's people are sort of watching movies. It's been a little stale the last couple of days, but
well, it's Sunday. We don't really know the numbers yet.
No, we don't.
I think they might be out.
Let's see. I think Jason, our producer, put in last week's numbers in here. Maybe I don't know if it's old news or not, but Parker is number 5. Have you seen Parker?
Nope, no Parker for me.
Parker is a movie about a thief with a unique code of professional ethics, and he's double-crossed by his crew and left for dead. That one seems kind of a familiar storyline. The Silver Linings Playbook was in at number 4. And
always good.
Always good, and that's with Jennifer Lawrence, right?
Yep.
She's
doing
fun.
well.
She's great. It's been fun to watch her because she's kind of less guarded than a lot of people in Hollywood tend to be with their comments and thoughts. Zero Dark 30, number 3. Mama, number 2. Have you heard of Mama? Was that on one of your freebies there, Tim?
Nope.
Looks like a horror flick. So
yeah. Oh yeah. I know the one. It's it's a really scary one.
You know what's funny? I think we talked about this before. Is that you can put a little girl in a movie and she can be the most adorable thing, or she could be the most frightening thing ever. So
I love that one we showed the YouTube video of the little girl in the elevator.
Yeah,
the elevator had the little door, and then the lights go out, the door opens, nobody knows, and then the little girl's standing in the elevator and scares them. That's a good one.
I think it's the blank stare that freaks people out. So maybe when they start smiling, it changes.
Yeah.
But
if you're a little actress, just remember blank stares are powerful.
I'm going to work on that because I've got a little actress on the way. So got a couple more months here, and then we'll try some stuff out with her. Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters is number 1.
I don't believe that. It's terrible.
It is, and $20 million worth. So maybe this will be the only week it was successful.
Yeah, that was it.
Now, leading the buzz on IMDb this week is The Haunting in Connecticut 2, Ghosts of Georgia. I don't know how you connect Ghosts of Georgia with Connecticut, but...
Well, they went on vacation.
They went to Connecticut. That's where I'm from, so,
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. Connecticut can be a scary place. Actually, you know what's funny? When I was in college, our student government had this retreat at the site where they shot one of the Halloween movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this house with, I kid you not, had no electricity, this big house on an island in the middle of a lake.
Wow.
It was crazy.
That's a logistical problem for filming.
It must have been. And, it had a nice bridge. It had a bridge. It wasn't that far off the road. But,
okay. It had a bridge. I thought it was on an island with no bridge. So you had to put all the equipment on a boat.
Yeah, you're stuck out there. And but there was a few of the student government officials, the pranksters of the bunch, decided to try to, like, in the middle of the night, do this horrifying thing, and they used whatever they could find with them. So one of them made a sickle out of garbage bags and duct tape, put a bag on his head, and then one guy got on the roof and started banging on the roof to try to create this whole mise-en-scène of horror taking place, and it didn't really work because the guy fell off the roof and everyone knew that the other guy was
and he died, and then he came back and haunted everyone.
This was a guy who could fall and put himself into situations that would kill any normal human being, and this guy seemed to manage to never hurt himself. It was quite remarkable.
Some people are that, they're like a cat.
They're very limber, exactly. So he gave up one that night, but he had a few more that he survived as well. So moving on to YouTube, though. So topping, we've got like the Vivo stuff as usual. So Nicole Schranger, Boomerang goes number 5. Kid President. Have you seen Kid President, Tim?
I have not seen this week's. I'm bad. I didn't do my homework this week.
This is the best part about doing this on the weekend. I was able to watch all of our videos beforehand. So this is like a little kid. He's like dressed up as a president, and he's giving everybody a pep talk, and he was great. So
that sounds adorable.
It's really adorable, and he wants you to send it to people that you think need a little pick-me-up. So, and Kid President is very smart because he's up to 7 million views, and he is monetizing his content. So he's going to collect a nice college scholarship from that whole thing. So
I like that.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Justin Timberlake's new video is up there as well as another Vivo item. A dramatic surprise on an ice-cold day. And do you remember that TNT promotion where they had a big button that somebody pushed?
Yeah.
So they did it again in the Netherlands, and the person pushes the button, and then the phone rings, and they pick up the phone, and they give them a choice of yellow or red. The guy picks yellow, and it's kind of violent. The guy picks yellow, and then immediately this guy in a yellow jumpsuit gets shot by a sniper. And they do this whole big, thing, and they end up kidnapping the person that pushed the button. I would have a heart attack if this happened to me.
Yeah, for sure.
But now that I've seen this, the gig's up, right? If you go around and see a big button somewhere, you know that this whole big thing is going to happen. And the number one video is Lonely Island, and Lonely Island is Adam Sandberg.
Yep.
Saturday Night Live, probably the quintessential
YouTuber.
Absolutely. The first viral video, really, right, was that Lazy Sunday. So they did another thing about being paranoid about
it really does help to have Saturday Night Live feature your video. And then everybody likes it, and they go to YouTube to show it to their friends and blah, 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 blah. And this is a really good lesson for businesses that have a lot of traffic on your own website. I've consulted for a lot of different people, and the smart ones that understand the power of the traffic of their own website, it jumpstarts your YouTube video. So if you want your video to have a chance of going viral and you have a lot of traffic on your own website, stick that video on the front page of your website, use that natural traffic that you already have, and it will jumpstart your views. Whereas for some reason, a lot of businesses will go, well, we're paying all this money for the video to go viral. We don't want to stick it on our website. And you're just like, what? Yeah, what? But for some reason, they're stuck in an old media mentality of, we're spending all this money, it should just work on its own. We shouldn't have to help it.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's just crazy. But it happens over and over again. So, Saturday Night Live is a great example.
And what was funny was when this first happened with Saturday Night Live, which was the Lazy Sunday thing, they worked like dogs to prevent that video from being seen anywhere outside of their own properties, which was a huge mistake. But and then they ended up giving it away for free on iTunes anyhow. So it was just so
crazy.
Bizarre.
It is crazy.
Now, related to that, we have a story from TubeFilter about YouTube expanding pay-per-view options with paid subscriptions. And I think if you're just that scenario you just described, and the one of what our caller has been up to, that could be a great way to monetize outside of the ad revenue, right, Tim?
Yeah, it depends on how it's not clear yet who all is going to have access to it and when it'll be available for everyone. But I think it's rolling out. Is it in April that it's rolling out? So it'll be interesting to see who gets to put their videos there and who doesn't.
I think that's exactly it. I think that's really what it comes down to is you've got to have the audience willing to pay for this. And I think for a lot of YouTubers, it's not going to be ideal. But I think someone would pay
premium
YouTube.
Content.
Yeah,
it depends on what content you have, and is somebody willing to buy it?
That's it. So you got to build the audience first, and I think that always goes to that. So let's move on to our app of the week. I've got a great one this week, and this is not so much an app as it is a service. So,
I'm going to try to see if I can pull it up while you're talking about it. What is it?
Well, it's actually it's a little bit more complicated than just a simple app, but it's Amazon has this thing called Glacier. Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay, so
can I get it on the App Store?
You cannot, but there are things that you can get to interface with it. And the reason why, normally I wouldn't talk about something so geeky and complicated, but I know one of the problems that we all have as content creators is that we're generating huge files, right? And you need a way to back those files up. And certainly it's great to be able to stick them on a hard drive, but Tim, you're in a place, us people in New England are always terrified of Los Angeles earthquakes. And, here in New England, I had a week where we had an earthquake and a hurricane in the same week.
It happens.
It happens. Your stuff could get flooded, blown up, whatever. So you need a way to back it up offsite, but it costs a fortune for a lot of these things to store, perhaps a 20 gig file or whatever. So Amazon has this thing called Glacier that allows you to put files into a cloud-based backup on Amazon's servers. For a penny a gigabyte per month.
Okay, so that's 12 pennies per gig per year.
Exactly. Exactly. And if you've got a lot of stuff to store, it's a pretty good deal. And what I would say is maybe put like the master copy of whatever you put together, or maybe if you're have some raw footage you don't want to lose, it's a great place to put it. Now the downside to it is that it takes about 6 hours to get the files back when you need them. So it's not a very rapid retrieval thing. And
like 6 hours per gig or what?
Per file. And there's a whole bunch of complexity involved with it. This
and
is
do
like
you
this.
Pay for that? Do you pay for the download as well?
Yeah, they charge you a little bit, and this is where it gets tricky, is that depending on how fast you download, they charge you at a certain rate. And what I really look at this as is kind of like the last spot, right? That if for whatever reason your other backups all went away, and we all know the whole take your backup off-site routine, and if you don't know that, go look it up. But what I do is I have a Drobo that I back up, and I take the hard drive back and forth to another secure location. So if something happened to my home, my other drive is safely somewhere else.
Yeah, unless you have it backed up in 3 places, you don't have it backed up.
Exactly. So this is like the third place, so that if everything else in your life totally disappeared tomorrow, you could get it back from there. And there is some cost with data transfer out. There's ways to manage that.
But it's an insurance policy.
It's exactly what it is. It's an insurance policy with a high deductible.
Compared to buying a drive, so if you were going to buy a new drive every year to back up, and let's say that it was a 1 terabyte drive.
Right, 1,000 gigabytes.
That would be close to $100, right?
Right.
And what would this be?
This would be
$12 a year?
Something like that. Yeah, you're looking at maybe if you're looking at about $10 a month for a terabyte. Am I right about that? And you
or $12 a month.
Right.
For a terabyte.
Right.
And then so it'd be 112. It's about the same, right?
Yeah, it balances out in the end there. I mean, I don't have a whole bunch of stuff up there right now, but it's really, I think it's a really effective way to just back up your stuff in a way that you can keep it safe. And there's a great app for the Mac, and it's not on the App Store. You have to download it directly, but it's called Arc.
And that's different from Glacier.
It interfaces with Glacier because as you know, Amazon does these API things, and it's hard to do it on your own.
Okay.
And there's a Java client that you can upload directly with.
And how much does that app cost?
Okay, so Arc costs $29.
Okay, so now we're getting.
Yeah, you get into a little bit of stuff here, but what it does though is it works automatically. So every night at like 2 a.m. my Arc goes out and it dumps stuff. Now what's great about Arc, it's ARQ, is that it'll back up.
Oh, I thought it was like Noah, and there were.
It is, and there's the icon's a little wooden ship with qubits nice. And everything.
I like
but what it'll do at night is it'll back up automatically certain folders that you specify, and it could use the S3 service, which is a little bit more expensive, but you can get your data right away, and it can use Glacier at the same time. So it's a good little tool to cheaply store a bunch of stuff that you definitely don't want to lose. So I've been quite happy with it, and it is. I've never had to use it, which is even better. So
it may not even work, and you don't even know it.
I have no idea. No idea.
I'm just kidding.
But it does go somewhere, so hopefully it'll work in the end. So that is my topic, my app of the week. I'll do something simpler next week, like Vine or something fun like that. So
Vine, there you go.
So our producer has picked a topic for you, Tim.
I love topics.
And you are obviously our resident ebook expert, and you're developing multimedia ebooks. One of which is called Vids, which I have on my iPad. And that new 128 gigabyte iPad, you could store lots of copies of Vids on it.
Yeah, that's coming out this week.
It is. I am not. I would have bought it if it wasn't $1,000 with the 4G on it. But
yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy, but it's got a lot of storage. But pricing. How did you decide? How do you price these things? And this is what Jason was curious about.
Well, it's still a sliding ruler as to what when you're dealing with Amazon, you can't give away a free book. So I haven't really gone down that path yet. And there's different sharing at different levels, and there's different packages at different levels. Amazon, to me, at this point, unless you're doing just a straight ebook with words only, I don't see Amazon as a great place to go for an enhanced ebook yet. There's still a lot of people that have Kindles that don't really handle pictures or videos that well. They're all about the text. So Amazon's tough for me to say what a good pricing model is there, because I'm not putting anything out there. But my understanding is that with Amazon, you want to be around $6 is a good place to be for a book, because it'll put you in a better position than 99 cents. And if you're $12, $15, you're not Stephen King, nobody's going to buy it. So it's a tough thing to do. When it comes to Apple and Apple books, it's my understanding from talking with some folks that there is a huge drop-off at $9.99. So if your book is over $9.99, huge drop-off is going to happen.
So it's almost like 99 cents for a song. That seems to have been the sweet spot for a long time.
Yeah. So anything under that is good, but if you go too low, if you go just 99 cents, then you get into this, it's crap, it's not a good book, that kind of thing. So, for my book, I priced it at $3.99. I haven't experimented with changing the price, and maybe I should, now that I'm thinking about it, see if I can charge more. But the big key, no matter what you're doing, the key that I hear over and over and over is have multiple books that cross-promote each other, and then have a free book that promotes all your books, or promotes one of your books that kind of leads to the rest of them. Because don't have too many choices in your books. Just have one book promote the next best one to read or watch after the one you just finished. So that's a big key. But that free book, use that as a promotional tool to get people to buy your paid book.
So the kind of the gateway into more.
Yeah.
And
the other thing, like a drug dealer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a drug dealer.
The other thing to think about, and especially now in the case of vids, and we have a great video up on our YouTube page at Behind the Video. You can listen to about how Tim put the book together and the long story behind him. This was video that you had already paid for years ago and was kind of sitting on a shelf. But how do you factor in, because you don't know how it's going to sell, and this is the hard part, is obviously you have some overhead costs in producing that book. Do you go in with the price of the book in mind before you budget out the rest of the project? Like, how would you approach that?
Well, I think if you're going to do it as a business, you absolutely have to. The other thing is, it's still early days in this marketplace, and enhanced ebooks haven't caught on the way that 50 Shades of Grey has caught on. And so it'll be interesting to see how things move forward and how the devices deploy, how well Nexus handles ebooks through Google Play, how well Windows 8 does with enhanced ebooks, and does Amazon finally get to a point where all of their ebook readers will handle video. I don't know if they ever will. They have a lot of people that just liked reading books, and they like the simple Kindles. So it's still a niche thing. It's very much early days, but that's a great opportunity to get in. My advice, if you're going to stick video into a book, make it informational, make it stuff that people want to know, want to see, put it in that book. And if you're doing a story, shoot the videos so they don't cost you a lot of money. Make them videos that the characters themselves made. That way it can be shot with a home video camera, and you're not going to spend a whole lot of money creating those videos.
We should talk Bernie Sue into doing something like that, because his
believe me, I have been trying and trying, but he's so busy right now. He did come out with something this week that hopefully we can get him on the show. It's a Facebook app for Lizzie Bennett, and I really want him to come on the show and talk about it.
Well, that's a good teaser. Let's try to get him on next week. So no excuse on a Sunday for Bernie Sue not to be on this show because he's busy, but he's got to have a Sunday morning for to spend with us. Right, the last thing he wants to do is spend it with us. But we'll try to get him on because it's really he's got. I mean, what a great way to build an audience, and he's done a tremendous job, especially around classic literature, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's just
Pride
fantastic.
and Prejudice. A lot of fans out there.
Yeah,
the thing
and kids. I mean, they're not. These are right. I mean, it's not adults here that have.
Well, it's funny. I was visiting a high school recently, and they had it was kind of like a job fair, but they had different clubs set up where they were trying to get kids to sign up for all these different clubs, and they had the soccer club, they had the equestrian club, they had Spanish club, and I look over and there's the writers club, and I walk over to the table and there's these geeky girls sitting at the writers club table, and I'm like, hey, have you guys ever heard of Lizzie Bennet Diaries? And they're like, oh my God, you know about the Lizzie Bennet Diaries? Oh my God, and they're like freaking out because I've heard of the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. I couldn't believe it.
That's great, and I think there's a real educational value here too for connecting. It's building interest in classic literature. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Well, it's good. Well, we've come to the end of our topics for this week, Tim. So we had a lot of stuff that we got through here, and hopefully people will start thinking about taking some of their video content and e-booking it. And I'm sure we could get somebody on who's going to struggle with that. Maybe we can help them out in the future. Where can people find you and your good work?
You can find me on Twitter at @1TimStreet.
And I'm Lon Seidman. You can find me at LONSEIDMAN.com or LONSEIDMAN on the Twitterverse. And you can find our show on Stitcher, on iTunes, and all the stuff that hooks up with that, and at BehindTheVideo.com, where we've actually been maintaining the website for almost a month straight now. So that'll do it for this episode of Behind the Video. We are a wrap. Stories for this episode were compiled by producer Jason Perrier. Follow him on Twitter at JASONPERRIER. Behind the Video is a production of Ape Digital Incorporated and the Independent Media Network, LLC. All rights reserved.